Hi everyone, my name is Harshit. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whichever time zones you are. Thanks everyone. Welcome again. As mentioned, my name is Harshit Kohli and I'm a technical account manager here at AWS. And today I've got an opportunity to speak or to discuss with you on a very interesting topic, which is how we can integrate Redshift with QuickSight so that we can build automated dashboards. Now, here's the agenda for this discussion. We'll start with a quick introduction for QuickSight, followed by how to connect to the data sources, and then what is serverless data analytics, how to set up those data sources, schedule a refresh, which is an important part because everything is automated and we want to make sure that things are working in an automated fashion. And finally, we'll see what are the advantages and we'll be following everything with a demo. So we'll showcase how we can connect Redshift to QuickSight and then how you can build the flawless dashboards without any manual intervention. So let's move ahead. So first of all, what is QuickSight? So it's a fully managed service, and we know like it is used for building your cloud business intelligence systems. It is mostly focused on how to build the dashboards. It can help to deliver easy to understand insights so that the people you are working with or wherever they are, let's say they are in another location working from a different time zone, everybody has the access to that. Now, QuickSight will also help you to connect your data in the cloud, and it also combines from many different sources, which we'll be talking about in the future slides. In the single data dashboard, you can include like AWS data, third-party data, big data, spreadsheet data, SaaS data, B2B data. I mean, you name it, you can club everything all together on one dashboard, or you can create multiple tabs on the same dashboard. You can try to prepare logics on that. You can try to create joins and you can try to prove relationships from there. And then you can publish everything on the dashboard itself. Now, once the data is on dashboard, it gives the capability to the leadership or to the viewers to have a story behind that. Now, everything works in the form of story. And when we are working on a dashboard, whatever dashboards or the views we are displaying, it will help to communicate a story. Now, when I say a story, it can be, for example, you are listing the customers with the name starting with A. Now, this is a very basic story where you just list the customers, all the customer details whose name is starting with A. So similar to these, there can be n number of stories which you can help to display through dashboards, and you can plan to build out those relationship using different functionalities of QuickSight. Now, as a fully managed cloud-based service, the QuickSight is also providing you enterprise-grade security. It is also giving you global availability, built-in redundancy, and is also giving you user management tools, which can help you to scale from like 10 to 10,000 users. And all that is available for you with no infrastructure to deploy or manage. And that is the best part about QuickSight. As a whole, as I was talking about, it is giving the decision makers to the opportunity to explore and interpret information in a much more visual format. And this is all serverless, no need to deploy any infrastructure, build any servers, manage the things. It's all completely serverless for you. Now moving to the next slide. How we can start the visualizing instantly. Now let's talk about what exactly is QuickSight offering you. As I was mentioning, it is giving you a fully managed browser-based BI tool. There is no need to install any kind of software, any kind of updates are not needed. It is given to you on a phone. It is also giving you a phone-based experience as well. You can browse your dashboards on your phone as well, or on your devices as well. It is completely serverless, so there is no need to deploy any servers, provision any servers, and have the headache of managing those servers. It can scale to tens of thousands of users. So in that respect also, it's very scalable and very easy to use. And since you are deploying this over cloud, you're paying for what you use. So whenever you are using the dashboards or whenever the dashboards are getting used, you are just paying for what you are using. And it has a very good integration with all the other AWS services. If you want to pull the data from S3, RDS, Athena, Redshift, whichever source you want to pull the data in, you can pull the data easily from the EMR, from the AWS services. And in this session, we'll be discussing about how we can integrate the QuickSight with the Redshift AWS service. So we'll see in detail about that as well. Now, apart from these benefits, it's also giving you in-memory engine like Spice, which you can respond in a very blazing speed. And as we were talking about, there is no TCO. Then you can also have a variety of data into the same analysis. You can have multiple data points which are collected in the same dashboard. You can try to work on that as well. You can also publish and share your analysis using the dashboard. So no need to manage the granular database permissions. You can apply the permissions at the dashboard level as well. So it also gives you the capability to apply row level access, column level access. All those kind of security constraints can also be applied. This is the list on how you can connect to existing data sources. It also gives you the capability to connect on-premise systems, in the cloud, and various applications. I have listed few of the sources with which you can connect to your QuickSight. So few of those are like you can connect to Excel, JSON, Teradata, and there are multiple ways, right? Our interest for this session is Redshift, but apart from Redshift, we can also connect to RDS, S3 Athena, Teradata, MySQL, Presto, Spark. And then it can also connect to applications like Salesforce, Adobe Analytics, ServiceNow, Twitter, and GitHub. So overall, it has a lot of connection capabilities, and this will help you to grab the data or fetch the data from variety of applications into your QuickSight analysis, do some smart logic on top of that, and then present it in the form of dashboard to the leadership based on the requirement they have. So let's talk about a very famous or a very useful kind of a pipeline approach, which many of the customers follow. This is one of the common pipelines which has been used extensively by many of the customers, where they have the data in S3, then they use a glue crawler on top of that data, which builds the tables, builds the catalog or the metadata for them. And then using Redshift Spectrum or EMR or Athena, they scan that data, and then using QuickSight, they're able to view that data. Now, a lot of times what happens is there are customers who are using Redshift internal tables. You can very well use QuickSight dashboard on top of that as well. But if you have already data which is sitting in S3, there is no requirement to move that data to S3 from S3 to Redshift. You can directly have a Redshift Spectrum table sitting on top of your S3 data. And those Redshift Spectrum tables, which are like the external tables, they can easily be used to build the dashboards in QuickSight. So this is just a common pipeline with many users are using, where they have to build the dashboards on top of the S3 data, and that is where they use glue crawler and glue data catalog in the middle, and then have Redshift Spectrum tables, which give them the capability to enable the querying on the QuickSight and build the dashboards. And then this is again explained in a more further way, where you have S3, then it goes to EMR. Let's say it's going to, and from S3, like let's say you want to have a Redshift table scanning. Then what you can do is you can either have the data in S3 and have Redshift tables which can query the S3 data, Redshift Spectrum tables or the external tables which can query the data, and then once you go to QuickSight, all you have to do is create a data set, and that data set will be connecting to your Redshift database, which under the hood will be querying those tables which are having the data on S3. So it's like a completely automated approach. So let me give you an example. Let's say there is a streaming application which is on a continuous basis pumping the data to S3 bucket. Now you have to build some smart dashboards on top of that data. Now, a question will come to your mind is, my data comes to S3, but what will it take for me to build the reports from that S3 data on the visualization dashboard? Now, here this approach comes to your rescue, because once you have the data in S3, all you need to do is build Redshift Spectrum tables on top of your S3 data. And once those Spectrum tables are built, you are actually not copying any data to Redshift. You are just having the metadata sitting in the Redshift, which is like an external table, which is querying your S3 data, which is under the hood sitting on S3. And then you go to QuickSight, you create a data source or you create a data set, which which mentions that, okay, you are going to query the Redshift database and the tables, and then you can build dashboards using that data. So that's how it is useful, because you're not being charged for the Redshift storage, because you are not technically storing anything over there. You are just having the metadata, and you are just paying for the compute because the cluster is there, and you're just having the tables over there, which in turn is accessing the data from S3. And this is how the view looks like, where we get the screen on how to select and connect to data sources. And some of the data sources listed here are, like, if you see upload a file, you can upload a flat file like CSV, JSON, XLS, CSV, and all those kind of options are available to you. You can do this. You can also connect to Salesforce, S3 Analytics, S3, RDS, Redshift Manual Connect, MySQL, PostgreSQL. I mean, there are a variety of sources you can connect with. Using this particular feature, you can very well connect to Redshift. And as I was explaining you, once you connect to Redshift and you have a Redshift external table, which is accessing the files from S3, you can very well read the data from there, and you can build dashboards from there. So this is again a sample screenshot on how you create a data source, and I'm going to show that as part of demo as well, where you specify the data source name, the instance ID, the connection type is public network, and then the database name, username, password. And once all this is done, you validate the connection, and then you hit on create data source. One important thing to note over here, there was a feature which was launched last year. If you want to enhance the security, let's say you want to make it more fine-grained, you can always do that. And how that can be done is you can enhance the data security by using fine-grained access, like policies rather than broader permissions. And you can start by creating like a IAM role with permissions, which is to be activated when a person or an API starts a query. So you can just specify that role over here. And using that role, you can try to make a connection to your Redshift or your Athena, whatever data source you are trying to access. So that capability is now also being offered to you. Now, once that connection is established, at the next step, it will ask you like which table you want to choose from, and then it will also give you the list of tables with which you can select like which table you want to query the data. And then you can try to preview the data, or you can run some custom sequence on top of it. So we are going to see all of these things in the demo, and I'll show you how this works in the background. This is an important topic, setting up the refresh schedule. And the reason why this is important is because let's say you create a pipeline where your data is in S3, you have a Redshift spectrum table which is looking at the data. And now you build a data set or a data source which is on top of that Redshift data source. Now, let's say today I have 10 records in my Redshift table, and tomorrow my Redshift table has 14 records, right? I'm not supposed to go and manually load that data again so that my QuickSight can view that data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a refresh schedule, and I'm going to set up a refresh schedule on that particular data set, which is my Redshift data set. And I'm going to tell it that, okay, let's say at 2 p.m. every day or 4 p.m. every day, just refresh it. So there are two kinds of refreshes available. One is a full refresh, which loads everything all together. And then there is an incremental refresh, which tries to compare and see what are the changes. And only those changes are inserted back into the QuickSight. And that's how you can view it in your current dashboards. So this is the automation piece where you are not supposed to do any manual efforts. You set up the schedule once, and you make sure that this schedule is working properly. So for that, you can enable this button at the top, which says email owners when a refresh fails. So if a refresh is failing, let's say by some other reason, either it's a network reason or something not working with QuickSight, something not working with Redshift, you get an email trigger saying that the refresh failed at certain time, and this is the reason. And it will also give you an error snippet saying that, okay, this is the reason why it failed. So you can go back and troubleshoot. So all those capabilities are given to you when you are integrating the data sources with your QuickSight dashboard. Finally, like why we should try to build this pipeline using Redshift into QuickSight and how it is helping us. So the first and the foremost advantage I would like to talk about is the direct cloud to cloud connection. Now your data is sitting in your Redshift or on your S3, and you have QuickSight, which is also on cloud. You have direct cloud to cloud connection. There is no requirement to move your data from one cloud to other cloud or cloud to on-premise. Everything can be connected from cloud to cloud, and you can easily access the data or build dashboards on top of it. Now, the other advantage is better and deeper data analysis. Now, whatever kind of joins or queries, let's say inner join, left join, right join, union, whatever type of capabilities you are doing with Redshift, you can query or you can work on those kind of joins while building your dashboards as well. So you can apply an inner join, you can apply a right join, you can apply a left join or a union while you are creating that analysis. And all those features are given to you additionally with the QuickSight. I mean, there is nothing you are being charged for that. Everything is included as part of the QuickSight offering. So you can always apply the join, and once you analyze the data, you can always apply those joins, and then you can view the data using analysis and build the dashboards on top of it. Now, the third important point is it is making the BI engineer's task easy, because you're trying to create an automated dashboard where it's just a one-time effort. You are setting up the pipeline where the data is there in S3, you are building the Redshift spectrum table, and then you are building the dashboard and setting up the refresh schedule. And once you have done this whole effort once, every time it is going to just make sure it runs. If there is a new data, it is going to insert that new data based on the refresh schedule, and it's going to update the dashboard as well. So there is no need of manual intervention over here as well. Now, it is also providing you a visualization point for decision makers to build strategies. Now, what happens a lot of times, leaders or the management is heavily interested to build strategies based on the data occurrences or the kind of data. So let's say there is a data inside your Redshift and using which the leaders or the management has to make certain decisions. Now, this visualization point will help them to build the strategies and make sure they make effective policies out of that. So that's how this pipeline is super helpful for you as well. And then the additional point is you also get to store the data in Redshift. So let's say if accidentally something happens to the dashboard, or let's say let's say the dashboard is not working or something is not working, right? So immediately you can query the data from Redshift, because Redshift is like an intermediate point where it is storing the data, and then you can make it readily available in the QuickSight once the dashboard is fixed. So with that, I will move to the demo part. Let's start with the cluster first. This is my Redshift provision cluster. If you go to my cluster, so this is my Redshift homepage. I have my provision cluster, and first I will show you how to make the connection for this particular data source. So we have these endpoints available. So we have the URL for this Redshift cluster. So what I'll do is I will pick up this URL from here. I'll copy this and I'll go to QuickSight. Okay, so let's say I'm on this home page. This is how home page looks like. I'll go to datasets. I'll create a new dataset. I'll say, okay, it's a Redshift data source. I'll put it as Redshift demo, and I'll put a date 0820. And then this is over a public network, that's fine. And I'll put the host name which I copied. The port which was listed over there was 5439. So I'll use the same port. I'll say 5439. Now the database name. Now, if you go to this Redshift cluster, for this demo purpose, I am using the sample underscore data underscore dev. Okay, so if you go to okay, so I have two databases over here. One is the sample underscore data underscore dev, and one is dev. So I'll be using a sample underscore data underscore dev database for the connection purpose. So I'll go over here. I'll put sample underscore data underscore dev. And in the username, I will put the AWS username, and I'll put the password for this. So I'll copy the password I have. This is just again for testing purpose, and you will validate the connection. So once I click on validate connection, it shows SSL is enabled, it's validated, and I can go and create the data source from here. So once I create the data source, it will ask me which schema you would like to connect to. So let's say I have 4 of these schemas, and let's say I pick one of the schema ticket. Okay, and then it will ask me, okay, which tables out of this you want to connect. So I'll say, okay, I want to connect to date, for example. And once you select this, so there are multiple options. You can either run a custom SQL on top of this, or you can preview the data on this as well. So let's say if I do preview data. So once I click on preview data, if you see, I've selected this table and it is listing me all the columns within this table. Now what I can do apart from this is I can try to add a data from here. I can add to data source from here. And let's say I select the same data source we created, select it. It's using the same schema. If you want, you can select a different schema as well for doing a join operation or something, but I'm using the same schema. So date is fine. Then I'll use, let's say, event, and I'll select this. Now, once I select event, it will ask me, okay, what kind of relation you want to establish between these. I'll say, let's say I want to select a inner join, and then I'll say, okay, date ID is one thing. Now I'll try to find, okay, so let's try to join this over a date ID, and I'll select both these and I'll just apply. So you see, there is no need to write a query or anything. It's like a drag and drop feature where you just add the data source and try to establish the relationship. And once this join is applied, it will give you the collective data. And once you have this, what you can do is you can try to save and publish and visualize. Both these options are there. So first I'll try to save and publish. And once this is saved and published, what I will try to do is I'll try to publish and visualize. And once I try to do this, it will help me to create an analysis on top of it. Now, this is the analysis part which I am creating. Now, you see all these columns have been taken from the join kind of a relation we did over there. So let's say if I want to find out all the events on a particular date. Okay, so what I'll do is, let's say I start with a pivot table and I say, okay, this is my calendar date and I want to find out what all events are happening. So let's see what it gives me. Okay, so this is giving me the list, the number of the events. Or what I can do from here is I can go to pivot options and I can put this in tabular format. So this will give me in Jan 1 what all events happened, right? So a more structured way to put this is in, I'll go to calendar date and I'll aggregate this by, let's say, a quarter. Okay, so this will help me to find out that in a particular quarter how many events were happening. So in quarter 1 2008, these were the events which were happening. So 38 special, 4 times this event happened in quarter 1. 2 times it happened in quarter 2, in quarter 1. And the beauty about this is that there is no manual uploading of XLS file or CSV file or text file or JSON file. All this data is getting readily picked up from your Redshift. So we connected to a Redshift data source, we brought this over here, and this is how it is being populated, right? Now let me try to run something interesting over here. What I will do is I will try to add a visual and let's put a pie chart and I'll try to see calendar date and I'll try to see a holiday. Okay, and let's see. Okay, so it gives me the list of holidays in this particular count date. Okay, got it. So these were, I think these were the holidays. Jan 1 was the holiday, then we had May 26th, July 4th, September 1st, and so on, right? So it calculated like how many holidays are there. And let's say if I want to do some other fancy things on top of this, so I can show you one another analysis which I built. Yeah, this is one of the analysis which I built before the session. So what I did was I referred to other table which was listing and orders, and I'm trying to find out like, okay, how many quantities were sold in 2008. And if you see, I'm just using the sale time. I'm configuring it in quarter, and I'm listing the value or listing the ID for sales, and I'm doing a sum for that. So this will help me to find out, okay, in each quarter, how much amount of quantity was sold, right? So it's giving me, okay, 4.96 billion was sold. This was 3.85 billion and so on, right? And similarly, I'm building another kind of bar chart and finding out like how many number of tickets were sold. So I'm just using num tickets as the value from here and summing it up. And this is giving me how many tickets were sold in each quarter, right? So again, if you want to scrutinize it with some other variable like year, you will get the values of the entire year. Now, again, to emphasize, this entire data is coming from Redshift, and how we are making a smart move over here is we are going to datasets, and we are saying that, okay, this is my listing dataset, and I want this to be automatically refreshed. I don't want it to have any manual sort of intervention, right? So what I'll do is I will add a schedule, and I can get it refreshed at a particular schedule. But before I set up that, I can just try to show you how to refresh it if you want to refresh it on an ad hoc basis. So I'll click on refresh. You get two options, full refresh or incremental refresh. Now let's say if I want to do a full refresh, I click on continue, I click on refresh now, okay? And if you try to refresh the screen, it shows, okay, refresh status is in progress. And then I click this, and I'll see how much time it takes to complete. So these much rows have been inserted, just waiting. Okay, so it completed. So if you see, this got completed successfully. And if this errors out, so since we have already selected that, okay, it should email me when the refresh is failing, it will always send you an email with the error stack. So now when you're supposed to set up the schedule, you can just go over here. You can select the schedule and you can set whether you want a full refresh for a refresh schedule or you want an incremental refresh. So, and it's also giving you a time zone based on what time zone you want to set it up, and the frequency you want to like run the refresh hourly, daily, or a weekly or a monthly basis. It's up to you. And then once you save it, so let's say I say 1:48 p.m. starting today, or let's say if I say not 1:48, I'll choose some other time, say 1:36 p.m. and full refresh and save it. Okay, so as soon you hit save, it created a schedule over here. Full refresh, occurrence daily, start time is 13:36, right? So what we are assuming is that this should run after 2 minutes, and once this runs, a new entry should be populated over here. And if this fails, it should email us, sending us an error stack telling us why it got failed. So this is how the automation works. So you have the data in your S3 from Redshift, and then when it comes to QuickSight, you are not taking any manual steps. You are just setting up the schedule and making sure it's getting refreshed on a daily basis. So while this is running, we'll go to the other tab where we were. And let's say we build this whole analysis over here where we build fancy pivot charts and we build some donut charts or pie charts and bar charts. Now is the time when you want to publish the dashboard for leadership. So what you'll do is you'll go and publish. Second. Yeah. So what you'll do is you'll go and publish. Since I already published this dashboard, it will give me an option. Either I want to publish a new dashboard with a new name, or I want to replace the existing dashboard. So let's say I am replacing my old dashboard with the same name, right? And it will also give me multiple sheets to select. So there might be an option where you have created multiple sheets within the same dashboard. So you are supposed to select all the sheets and then you can publish this dashboard. So as soon as you hit publish, you and your users will be able to see it. Adding access works in a similar way as you add the access for the QuickSight. So you need to go over here, share dashboard, and then you need to add the list of users or LDAP groups or whatever groups you have so that their access can be enabled from here. To let you know, security in this works in a similar format. You can enable the row-based access security. You can also enable the column-based security, and we are going to show you that as well. let's say I go to dataset and I go to listing, right? So on the right hand side, you see these three dots. If we click on this, it will give me row level security and column level security. So we can enable both those securities from here. And we can say, okay, this particular list ID or this kind of group, it should be visible to everyone, or it should be visible to what all users, right? So right now we don't have any restricted columns. So right now we have set everything to everyone. So we can do is we can select, let's say, seller ID or number of tickets. Next. And from here, I can select like what are the users and groups on which I need to give the access. And then if I say only these should be visible to everyone. Let me try to select this. Seller ID, event ID, next. Okay, so right now I don't have any users or groups created, but if you have any users or groups created, you can add a user from here and then apply that. So for that specific user, so right now it's listing that everyone will have access to every column, but if you list the user, only those users will have specific access to those columns. So I mean, that is one of the ways you can apply column level security. And then if you go to row level security, you can always do that using row level security feature. You can define user-based rules, you can define tag-based rules, and using both these features, you can enable like what users should access what kind of data. So all those security is possible on the Redshift data as well. Now let's go back to the schedule which we scheduled some time back. I'll go back to listing. I'll go to click on this. Yep. So if you see, this was an automatic entry, and this also got completed some time back, right? So 1336. Yep. So this started, I think, at 1336, and it got completed within few seconds. This one, sorry. Yeah. So this one got completed. If you see, this one is scheduled full refresh. It's saying that whatever we scheduled for 1336, it started automatically and it got completed within 16 seconds and it ingested these many rows. So let's say if you have extra rows, these will be pulled in as part of your full refresh. If you don't want to have a full refresh, you can always schedule an incremental refresh as well. So I'll go back to the data sets, and there is, I mean, there are certain quotas, but you can create multiple type of data sources and multiple type of data sets over here. You can also ingest multiple data sets in a single dashboard. So let's say you have a dashboard and you want to include multiple data sets over there, you can do that as well. So let's say you have a listing over here and I want to add a new data set. You can always add a new data set from here, and you can include both the data sets and then play around with the data as well. So overall, what we want to convey from here is using Redshift, you can easily build automated dashboards by setting up the schedule and pulling the data, whatever is there on S3. There is no need to copy the data anywhere. QuickSight can easily scan the data with the help of Redshift, and this will help you to build more kind of automated dashboards with row level and column level security if you need that.